Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to be making some doughnut muffins. So these are a cake-like texture, so similar to the texture of a doughnut but in a muffin tin rather than frying doughnuts. And they don't have the yeast in them that you might put in doughnuts, but they have that sort of texture. Now often people put nutmeg and cinnamon and such like in the doughnut and on the top, but I'm actually going to use a Speculaas spice. You can use any spices you want basically, but I'm going to use Speculaas spice simply because I have quite a bit of that left in a couple of jars, and that will work just fine. Now it doesn't take long to make, so the first thing you need to do is to get the oven preheated at 180 Celsius, 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit, and to grease the insides of a 12-hole muffin tin. You could use paper cups, but I think greasing it and baking in the tin is actually better. And for the ingredients, I have 260 grams, which is about 2 cups of plain flour. I have 113 grams of softened butter, which is half a cup. I have 2 medium eggs, which would be large in the USA. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of my Speculaas powder, and I have another 2 teaspoons in some sugar behind me, ready to put on the top. I have a quarter of a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 150 grams, which is 3/4 of a cup of caster sugar, and I have 3/4 of a cup of tinned rice pudding. Now you could use milk or you could use yogurt for this, but I've taken this rice pudding. I think it's going to give it a slightly creamier texture to the cake, flavour to the cake, and what I've done is I've taken the rice pudding and I've blitzed it a little bit with my immersion blender just to break down some of the grains, so it's still a little bit grainy, but it's not, you don't have the whole grains in there. And the first thing we're going to do is to cream the butter and the sugar, and you can do this by hand, but clearly it's quicker and easier in a mixer. And you could do it with a hand mixer as well. And I want to cream those until they're nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to put the eggs in, and I'm going to put them both in at the same time. It may curdle the butter mixture slightly, but it will all come together in the end, so it doesn't matter. And I'm going to put the vanilla extract in as well, and I'm going to beat those until they're all combined. And with that mixed in, I'm actually going to put the rice pudding mixture in now. And we'll mix that until it's combined. And with that mixed in, I'm going to add the other ingredients. But first of all, I'm going to put the baking powder, the Speculaas powder, and the salt into the flour and just give it a little stir around. And then I'm going to put this in a bit at a time, and I'm going to mix it on slow. And then I'll take the paddle off and just give it a stir around with the spatula to make sure it's all combined. And then we need to put that into the muffin tins. And you need to divide that as evenly as you can between the 12 holes of the muffin tin. So with those filled fairly evenly, I'm going to put them into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 16 and 20 minutes until a skewer in the centre comes out clean. Then I'll take them out, and as soon as I've taken them out, I'll come back and show you what we do next. The donuts, or the doughnut muffins should I say, are out of the oven, and they're still very, very warm. And what I did was I simply ran an offset spatula around the outside so I could take them out of the tin and put them onto the wire rack. And then I have here about 30 grams, 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and I have here 50 grams of sugar, and I've put a teaspoon and a half of Speculaas powder into that and mixed it around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply brush over the top of the muffin and dip it into the sugar like that, and then any which didn't get sugar on I can just cover as well. And I'm going to do that with all of them, and then I'm going to let them cool down completely, and I'll come back and we'll have a taste. So I coated the muffins in the extra sugar and Speculaas spice, and they're almost cool. They're still a little bit warm, but they're actually very nice and soft inside. I'll have a taste. I get that spice. It's not too strong, and I definitely get the creaminess from that rice pudding. Now, as I said, you could use yogurt or you could use milk, but I had rice pudding available in a tin, so I thought, well, I would try that and see how it turned out. And I have to say, it gives it a very nice creamy texture, flavour. So that's going to be it for this recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link to it below the video as well. And then I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.